can't find nothing on the radio.
You ready, Steve?
Welcome to Songology. He's Bruce.
He's Richard.
And this is another episode from our Song of the Day archives.
Enjoy.
Welcome back, Bruce. What do you have on tap for today?
Today I have Lynyrd Skynyrd, because you can't be in the South without having some Lynyrd Skynyrd, right?
Okay.
And actually, Lynyrd Skynyrd got their start in Muscle Shoals, doing their first record there, though, as I'm about to tell you, it never actually got released. The record that they made there never got released. It's kind of a weird set of circumstances. Lynyrd Skynyrd started out with basically the core of the singer Ronnie Van Zant. There was Gary Rossington and Alan Collins on guitars, Bob Burns on drums, right? Well,
now is Bob Burns the one that was just in the news?
Yes, Bob Burns just passed away here in a car accident within the last little while. He was the original Skynyrd drummer and was with them for 4 or 5 years in the first part of their career. He left the band. He had some health problems then and left the band at the time. He occasionally played with them now and again over the years, you know, if they happened to be in the same place at the same time or were doing a tribute show or these sorts of things. But actually, of course, Lynyrd Skynyrd, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, holds the record for the longest running band with the highest number of members who were killed, because 3 main people and plus a manager and his wife all died in a plane crash. Depressing stuff. But before that happened, actually the beginning of Lynyrd Skynyrd goes back to Little League, believe it or not. They all came from Florida, actually. And in Jacksonville, Florida, Gary Rossington, Bob Burns, and Ronnie Van Zant were all Little League ball players. They met at a Little League game when Van Zant up to bat, smacked the ball as hard as he could, hit a line drive, which hit Bob Burns right in the head. And just about knocked him out. So Van Zant felt terrible about this. And there were many apologies at the time and many apologies post the game. But after the game, they got to talking. And the 3 of them discovered that they were all musically inclined and decided that they would form a band. So this was back in *64. They started out.
Now, Little League, how old would they have been back then?
No, that I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, I could probably look it up, but I have no idea. The band originally was called My Backyard because it was in one of their backyards, basically.
Right, yeah.
Later on, they tried different names for the band, including Conqueror Worm, which I think is a reference to Lovecraft, I think.
Oh, okay.
You know, the old horror writer?
Yeah.
And 1% was another name that they tried. Also, they, for a little while, called themselves Sons of Satan, which I'm sure went over really big in the South.
Yeah.
But they settled on the name Lynyrd Skynyrd because in high school, they had a gym teacher named Leonard Skinner. And he always gave them a real hard time about their long hair. And in particular, one stage he absolutely demanded, you can't come to school, you can't be in any sports teams, you can't do anything, putting my foot down, you guys got to go get your hair cut. And that was the catalyst that caused them to leave school and form the band and run the band permanently, try to make their living at it. They changed the name. They decided, well, we'll name it after Coach Skinner, right?
Yeah.
But they changed the name in part so that he wouldn't sue them. And in part, they put the Y's in the name in reference to the birds.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I can tell you that in one of the strangest pairings since Jimi Hendrix played with the Monkees, remember we talked about that last fall?
Yeah.
In 1971, Lynyrd Skynyrd opened for Queen.
Okay.
In 4 shows in Germany.
Yeah.
And that didn't really go very well. They didn't get along. So they started the first recordings for their first album in Muscle Shoals, and they couldn't get much interest. In fact, Roger Hawkins, who produced the album, said that he shopped it all over everywhere. Really, he was a big fan of the band. He knew that they were really good and that they would really take off. But he couldn't get any interest from any of the record companies, oh, the songs are too long and these sorts of things. And he kept saying, well, you got to see them play live. You got to see them play. Come and see them play. No, couldn't get any interest. Eventually, they were booked to open for The Who on a national tour. And that was the thing that really sort of sent their career off in a really big way. And they became a national and then international act. On that tour, opening for The Who, they were so popular as the opening act, they got encores, which is almost unheard of, right?
And who's sitting backstage going,
Yeah, well, and actually, those sorts of things, when the opening act sort of outshines the lead act, the main act, well, oftentimes that'll get you fired.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm given to understand the Who took it rather well and were very impressed with Skynyrd and the work they were doing.
Good for them. Good for them.
The song that I have for you is Freebird, which of course is one of the classic Lynyrd Skynyrd tunes right up there with Sweet Home Alabama. But the version of Freebird that I'm going to play is a version that you may never have heard before, because this is the original Muscle Shoals version, and it's different than the version that everybody is familiar with from the radio. The song started out as a ballad. It was something that Alan Collins wrote the music for, and he had worked on it for quite a while. He didn't really have any lyrics, didn't really know kind of what to do with it, but he had an idea because he'd had a fight with his girlfriend. All I know is his girlfriend was named Kathy. He had a fight with Kathy, and during the course of that argument, she said to him, "If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me?" And that, of course, is the opening sentence of Freebird. So he had that line. He had the melody. He didn't have anything else. And Ronnie Van Zant, the guy who wrote the lyrics, the rest of the lyrics, and who is the singer, of course, he was originally quite reluctant because he said, this has got way too many chords to write lyrics for. I can't come up with anything. But they kept fooling around with it. And after a few months, there was one particular occasion when Van Zant says to Alan Collins, play those chords again and just keep playing them. And so they went over it and over it and over it and over it. And after about 20 minutes, Ronnie started writing the lyrics. He sort of got something. And it became the song, as you know, about it's a guy and a girl leaving town, time to move on, etc. Now, when they went into the studio to cut this in Muscle Shoals, they had got all of the basic tracks down. And then the band went for lunch. They came back from lunch. And as they were walking into the Swampers studio there, they heard this amazing piano playing coming out of the studio. And who it was the fellow that they had hired as their roadie. And unknown to any of them, he was also a concert pianist. And so he's playing something that perfectly fits on this. And Roger Hawkins, he was producing the record for them, and he was really struck by this and said, wow, this is amazing. We gotta use this.
Yeah.
And so that's what you hear on the beginning of the Muscle Shoals version of Freebird, is this piano opening. Later on, I regret to tell you that the piano opening was dropped. And it became an organ opening. But the good news is the roadie became a full member of the band.
Yeah.
Unless I am mistaken, it's a guy by the name of Billy Powell. And he became a full-fledged member of the band. So it worked out for him.
Good.
Anyway, the song itself was released and dedicated to Duane Allman because, remember we were speaking about Duane Allman not long ago, because he, just at the time that he was released was the time that Duane Allman was killed in the motorcycle accident. And the double guitar solo at the end is very much based on Duane Allman, as we were talking about with the whole Hey Jude thing. If they ever play it now, if Skynyrd ever plays it now, I'm told that they play it as an instrumental since 77, since the plane crash and Ronnie Van Zant's death. His brother, Johnny Van Zant, took his place as the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd. By the way, there's a third brother named Donnie Van Zant. So Ronnie, Donnie, and Johnny. Donnie Van Zant was the lead singer for 38 Special. So there you go. Very musical bunch, the Van Zants. Johnny Van Zant basically wouldn't sing that song. He wouldn't sing Freebird. And so the band would play it as an instrumental and the crowd would sing it.
Right.
So it was kind of a cool little thing at a Skynyrd show. The last thing I'll tell you about this is that nobody really believed in the song that much other than Roger Hawkins and the keyboard player because it was so long.
Yeah.
The record company didn't even want it on the record. Oh, it's too long. No radio station would play it. The band liked it, but they thought, well, this wouldn't be a hit. This isn't going to be a hit song. But it not only was a hit for them, it has become kind of a rock and roll joke in the sense that oftentimes at shows, and not just Skynyrd shows, but anybody's show, some jokester in the crowd will yell, "Freebird! Play Freebird!" And actually sometimes the artist will actually play it.
Uh-huh.
So there you go. So here is, perhaps for the first time on Creston Radio, the Muscle Shoals version of Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird.
And as usual, I have to stop it right there due to the wonderful world of fair use rules. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. You can visit us on Facebook or head over to our website, songology.ca. Now, here's your chance to listen to the music or go on to the next episode.